What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Delta Rules. Today we're going to be talking about option prices and what factors go into option prices. We're going to be talking about volatility, we're going to be talking about volume, and we're also going to be briefly discussing expiration on an option. Now, keep in mind, the opinions and ideas presented by Delta Rules are for informational and educational purposes only and should not be constructed to represent trading or investment advice. None of the information on this channel constitutes a recommendation that any particular security, portfolio, transaction, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. Options involve risk and are not suitable for all investors. All right, so our objectives in this video will be to review the bid and ask of an option. We will be reviewing the bid and ask simply because it is tied to the price of an option, directly tied to the price of an option. Now, we will go over the effect that the underlying stock or the stock that you chose, the effect of the price on that option, of the price of the stock on the price of the option. We will go over the implied volatility. We will go over historical volatility. We will make sure today that you understand how volume and open interest works. Now, keep in mind, this is the most important part of trading options. Being able to recognize where that volume is going to. Being able to recognize if that volume is being from people that are bullish or people that are bearish, meaning people that are thinking that the market will go up, a bull, or thinking that the market will go down, a bear. And we will also, like I said, briefly be discussing what the expiration of an option is and how it affects the option prices. All right, so once again, we're going to go a little bit over the bid and the ask. Like we reviewed before, the bid is the highest price that the buyer is willing to purchase that option for. The ask is the lowest price that the seller is willing to sell that same option for. Now, we usually want to buy between the bid and the ask, and we will also want to make sure that we're trading liquid markets, meaning that the bid and the ask are less than 5 to 10 cents away from each other. Like you see on the right hand side, once again, I put in there what a liquid chain looks like. 2 cents in between, 3 cents in between. If you get lucky, you'll find one with 1 cent in between, a penny, penny market. That is what we want to be trading. All right, so now we will talk about the stock price effect on the actual option price. Now, the first thing that we must realize here is that an option is a derivative of a stock. If a stock's price is low, the option in nature should be low as well. This, however, is not always true, and that is because of volatility. And I will explain once again, what volatility is in a second. Once again, I have explained volatility before. You probably know by now what volatility is, but once again, I will go deeper into it in another slide. Now, in this situation, as far as pricing goes, we always want to be able to compare what it would cost us to control 100 shares of a stock going up or going down. It's going to be the same price. We want to compare that price to the price of the option that is at the money. And this I illustrate for you on the right hand side. And at the money option is an option that has reached the strike price that you agreed on, or not necessarily the strike price that you agreed on, but an off the money off and at the money option is just an option that's at the strike price. That's all it is. It's at the strike price, as you can see on the right hand side. That will be how it looks on the option chain. Those prices are a little jacked. I apologize for that, but you never know, and that's the main thing. You never know, what the prices are going to look like. In this situation, it's a $5 stock. I'm definitely not going to pay 107 for that option. 107, as you guys know, times 100 is, $1.07 times 100 will be $107. I can control that stock for $500. I'd rather spend the extra 400 due to the fact that it's going to be a lot less risky. Because if I do buy that option, let's say that option is really at that price at this market. That means if that option is really at that price, that means volatility is going to be really, really high. So that means that if for whatever the case may be, that option budges just it happens to turn around a little bit, that option will lose a lot of value, and that is because of implied volatility. And once again, we'll go into that. But yeah, I mean that is pretty much the case in this situation. You know, if it's a $5 stock and at the money option, depending on the expiration of that option, let's say if that option expires next week, that shouldn't be more than I mean, like I said, I mean, depends on how much the stock moves. You know, this depends on the volatility, which is how much the stock moves. It'll probably be like maybe 10, $15 or 10, 15 cents in option terms. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking there. But like don't get too caught up on prices when it comes down to this. Just know that if the stock is low, the prices for those options should be low, should definitely be low. Remember, that is the bet that you're willing to make. The option price is the bet that you're willing to make. So if the price of the stock is low, the bet that you're willing to make or that everyone is willing to make should also be low. Now, on the other hand, if the stock, let's say it's a $55 stock, and let's say that at the money option was worth that same price, let's say, for a week from now, $1.07. And like I said, it depends on the stock, but I would be more inclined to paying $1.07 or $107, because it's times 100 to be able to control a $55 stock than a $5 stock. Because a $55 stock, if I want to be able to control it with me owning the actual equity or me owning the actual stock, it would be 5,500. So I rather pay 107 than 5,500 all day, every day. However, I don't, I wouldn't rather pay um, I wouldn't rather pay 107 than 500 because it's a lot riskier since it is a like if it is a $5 stock, it's a lot riskier if that is at that price. Once again, I don't think you're ever gonna see a price that high for a price that high for an option of a stock's price that is that low. I mean, I just don't think it's ever going to happen unless something major is expected to happen with that main stock and the market is already aware of it. All right, so what is implied volatility? So, implied volatility is the future expected move of the market. It's usually expressed in percentage or is expressed in dollar movement. And I will show you guys where to find that on Thinkorswim and Robinhood. Now, implied volatility usually rises when the stock rises or falls aggressively. Usually, if the stock is trading sideways, implied volatility will actually fall because the market doesn't think that the stock is going to do much since it's been trading sideways for a while. And yeah, that's pretty much the idea there. Now, um, implied volatility also rises when there's an upcoming event for that company, for that stock, like let's say earnings or just an announcement that they need to put out, whichever the case may be. This is the reason why it is not good to hold options into big events because all of that implied volatility will sink into your option premium and it will make it very, very expensive. Now, if you already knew, if you were already in that option, that's great. But sometimes it's just not a good idea to get into an option whose implied volatility is just getting pumped and pumped because more people want it, more people are demanding for it. So, and what usually happens in these situations is that when the event does come out, the stock has risen so much that the stock actually drops, and that is the old buy the rumor sell the news type of thing. And that's the main thing we got to understand about this. We don't want to be buying an option into a big event of that company. We want to buy that option a month before that company is going to have that big event, or before that, even before that. I mean, uh, I would say the cutoff time would be about 2 weeks. If you get into there, 2 weeks from that event, it's probably already pricing that event and what's going to happen. Then again, 2 weeks is still a long time, to be completely honest with you guys. But I'm just trying to put the idea out there that you don't want to go into plays, you don't want to go into option contracts if the implied volatility is too high. Now, what is a high implied volatility? So I am going to put it like this: a high implied volatility is anything that you see over 100%. Now, that is very that is very that is pretty much an open-ended question, because what is high implied volatility? How do we know what's high implied volatility? Well, what's the volatility being in the past? So we know what the future implied volatility is. What has it been in the past? And that's when historical volatility comes in. So historical volatility is pretty much the volatility that has already happened. We compare the current volatility to the historical volatility, and it pretty much lets us know where that volatility is at. Is it a high volatility for the stock, or is it a low volatility for the stock? All right, so where do we find the IV? Where do we find the implied volatility? So on the left-hand side, I'm showing you an option chain on Thinkorswim. Implied volatility, it will usually show you it where I am circling it for you there. And that is the implied volatility for this stock. Let's say the stock was Dropbox. That is the implied volatility for Dropbox. It was 84%. And the good thing about Thinkorswim is that it also gives it to you in the actual amount of dollars that stock is expected to move. In this situation, since you look at that expiration date, there is February 12th. So by February 12th, this stock is expected to move $1.82, up or down, and that is the volatility. In the middle, you can see pretty much Robinhood. You click on the middle, and then on the right hand side, and there is the implied volatility. All right, so I already explained this, but once again, historical volatility is pretty much the volatility that has already happened. Usually traders like using this historical volatility to be able to compare it to the current volatility to see if it's high or low. All right, so let's get into the good one. Understanding volume. Now, the daily volume on an option is the number of contracts that have traded for the day. Let it be to get in or to get out of an option contract or of a position. Now, volume lets us know what option contracts. It lets us know. I'm sorry. It lets us know that option contracts are trading back and forth, and lets us know where the sentiment is skewed towards. Is it the bullish side going up, or is it the bearish side going down? It will also let us know if it's a liquid market. So if you have a lot of volume on an option, it is everyone's trading it, so everyone's going to be willing to buy and sell. So that spread between the bid and the ask will be low, which makes a liquid market, and that's usually how these options are made liquid, because there's a lot of them being traded. Now, once again, guys, this is just I put one of the most important things once again, but this is the most important thing this is the most important thing between this and understanding the open interest as well. And everything else, as far as like how you really get into making money with options, or at least one of the ways which I am going to be focusing on, which is unusual options activity. That is pretty much, that is the way I like to do it, because it lets us know what the big guys are doing. It lets us know what the big guys are buying. So if it's smart money, it's just smart money. They're putting millions of dollars into plays every day. It's just a matter of us being able to find them and figuring out if it was a buy or a sell. That's the main thing, guys. I will be getting into this. Like I said, I will come out with Thinkorswim videos. I will let you know how to set up scanners to be able to find this unusual options, and things like that. So using volume along with open interest lets us analyze where the money is being put into and taken out of. All right, so there on the right hand side, I'm showing you pretty much where the volume is located on Robinhood. Now remember, on Robinhood, you have to click on the bid and the ask first in order for you to be able to see all of this information. All right, so now we'll be going into open interest. Now, open interest, as the word says, are the number of contracts that are currently open or that are currently being held by people just like you and me. Of course, some corporations involved. Now, keep in mind the open interest updates every day at market open. Unless you have some other type of tool that lets you see it in real time. But the us as far as we go, we're able to see the open interest at market open. It does not update throughout the day, so the volume will not add to the interest throughout the day. However, the volume for the day is what will add or subtract from the open interest. Now, of course, it will add and subtract or subtract from the open interest on the next day. So let's say, for example, on the right-hand side, the volume for today was 688 contracts, and all 688 contracts were actually opened and not closed, meaning people were actually buying them or getting into a position with them, better said. That's going to add to the 7,500. So it's going to be 688 plus 7,500, whatever that is. Do the math. If it's people actually getting out of those contracts, if it's 688 volume of people actually getting out of those contracts, you're going to see that the open interest tomorrow will be below 7,000 because it's going to be 7,500 minus the 688. Now, having this in mind, we usually want to get into contracts that have high open interest. We usually want to look at the whole chain and make sure that the whole chain has high volume and high open interest because it lets us know that it's a liquid market and lets us know that it's something that people are looking for. Now, something very out of topic, and I just noticed. I'm going to show you guys because I know a lot of you guys out there. Trade with Robinhood once again. So this is a good tip just to let you guys know. On the right hand side, as you can see on the picture, if you look at the very top where it says stats, bid, and then ask, it says bid 1.65 times 905. That means 905 people are trying to buy this option at 165. Now the ask is 180, so it's the bid is 165, the ask is 180 times 13, which means 13 people are willing to sell this option for 180. So this is very important, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I did not understand this when I first began trading, and as far as that's called the bid size and the ask size. Now, the main thing you have to understand is that that is what makes the price of the option. If no one is buying, so if it's times zero, you're gonna see that there's most likely gonna be a $0 bid, and there's always going to be someone selling that option. So there's always going to be an ask at whatever the price may be, and there's always going to be sellers. So there's always going to be a ask size. So just like it says 13 times 13, it would say something else. There's always going to be a seller for an option. Either there's going to be a person or it's going to be the market that's going to sell it to you, market maker, in that situation. So. And I bring that up because a lot of the times, whenever that bid goes to zero, the ask sometimes goes crazy. And sometimes, when it's an option that's just not traded for whatever the case may be, either Robinhood or the actual market maker will flash that ask, let's say at $1,000. So let's say at $10, which is, 10 times 100, it's 1,000. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why I second guess myself about that one, but yeah, that's the main thing. You guys got to understand that if the bid is at zero, it sometimes it will flash the ask or it will show the ask at $10 or or at $5, which is $500, and the middle between the bid and the ask is 250. So your account will show you that there's 250 worth of of profit, but it's not realistic because no one is willing to buy. Remember, always look at that bid size. How many people are trading? How many people are buying this option? How many people are selling it? How many people are on the ask size? If it's more buyers than sellers, I'm in. It's a good option. Then again, don't really simply rely on this. Of course, like I said, I'm gonna go through a whole course as far as Thinkorswim goes. That's just what I want to do, guys. I want to be able to do Thinkorswim. I wanted to go through a little bit of Robinhood, but just Robinhood is just so easy. There's just no reason for me to guide you through putting an order in Robinhood. It's just it's a matter of opening up the app and looking around, and you'll see exactly what's happening. And that's the main thing about Robinhood, like I said. So I'm gonna be focusing on Thinkorswim. We're gonna be posting videos about scanners on Thinkorswim. How to look for these types of options, how to understand the option change, things like that. All right, so we're briefly going to go into once again expiration. The expiration of an option. So the expiration of an option contract is the day that that contract expires. Very simple. If, for example, you get a May 19th, 2021 55 strike call, May 19th, 2021 is when your contract will expire. And if it's not in the money, it's going to expire with this. And that's just the way it's going to be. Now, on the right hand side, I'm showing you pretty much, that, and I figured I showed you the Robinhood chain. It has different expirations at the top, and as you can tell, we're buying, and then we're buying calls, and then it shows you pretty much the strike price. It only shows you two strike prices. I guess I have a small screen on that, but yeah, that's pretty much the option chain there, and pretty much showing you where those expiration dates are. Now, the expiration of an option will have a very big effect on the price value. An option that has more time will be worth more than an option that doesn't have as much time. Now, the expiration of an option can be years into the future. So hopefully that's very simple. That's pretty much what I wanted to go over since it does relate to price. All right. So what is next? I have no idea, guys. This was pretty much my plan to be able to teach you guys about options. I know I wasn't very technical. I'm trying to speak to those out there that just may not be getting options explained by someone else. That is really my goal. My goal is to make it really simple for you guys. I'm going to try to make the Thinkorswim videos as simple as I can as well. I'm gonna try to make it as organized as I made this course. But yeah, guys, that is most likely what's coming next. It will be the Thinkorswim videos. We're gonna get into Thinkorswim. We're gonna get into the option chains, and I'm most likely going to be posting daily videos about unusual options activity. That is my thing. You guys will learn that is my thing. I would say that is the best way to make money with options, unless you have a very big portfolio that you're actually able to sell those options. Because if you at the point you're selling options, you're pretty much selling insurance, you're selling premium. Now, there's always a way to sell the options with with credit spreads. There's always a way to be able to finance your options. I wanted to go a little bit into credit spreads and debit spreads, but I wanted to keep it simple for you guys. I wanted to explain to you guys, the long calls. I wanted to explain to you guys the long puts, which is a call with no other contract attached to it, and a put with no other contract attached to it. Um, I'll tell you what, we whenever we go into the videos with Thinkorswim, it's gonna make sense. I'm gonna make it so it makes sense. I don't want to explain credit spreads and debit spreads or iron condors to you guys. I want to show it to you on the chain, and I want to show you what it does. So it's gonna get to a point where you guys are creating your own strategy, and there's a name for that strategy, but you didn't know there was a name for that strategy. You just made it up yourself. That's how I want to be able to get this across, get options across, because it's just, I mean, I feel like it's just a game of actually understanding what we're doing, and understanding, it's not just about the fancy names, Iron Condor, or butterfly spread, credit spreads, debit spreads, whichever the case. It's just not. It's not about that, guys. It's about being able to understand what they are, even if you don't know the name. It's a good to be able to understand just what what strategy works best for you in this situation. And of course, if you always if you want to look into advanced option strategies like I said, credit, debit spreads, iron condors, or butterfly spreads, iron butterflies, things like that, anything like that, you could always look it up. I'm not going to be the one putting names out there. I will show you. And then once I show you the strategy, once I show you what's happening, then I'll give you the name. Like, hey, this is whatever spread. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all of the views, all of the subscribers. And guys, remember, I'm going to be dropping more videos like this. I will be focusing on unusual options. That is what is coming next. Uh, that is pretty much it. And like I said, I'm gonna try to teach you guys Thinkorswim as best as I can. Like I said, I'm gonna try to see if I can get a nice little course like this one put together for Thinkorswim. Different features, different things that you could do with it. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. You guys have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.